Hi everyone, I'm Holly from Handprinted, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make an intaglio print using mirror card. So I'm going to be making a dry point. I've shown you dry points in a few of the other videos, so you can go back and have a look. And this is using a different material, mirror card. So it's a very thin piece of card that's got a shiny mirror surface on one side, which means it's great for scoring into, and it's great for cleaning up and getting lots of texture in your prints. It is similar to using a Tetra Pak that I've shown you in another video, because you get the shiny foiled surface in a Tetra Pak that you can clean up and scrape into. You can also peel it off, but this mirror card comes in A4 sheets. And obviously if you're using Tetra Paks, you have all the creases and the folds, and you might have funny shaped prints. So if you want to do a larger print, this one's already been cut in half. I've cut it into several pieces. But if you want to do larger prints and not worry about any of that folded texture, then this is a great option for you. Now, because it's so wipeable, I'm going to do something I think a little bit more sketchy and a little bit more expressive maybe with my drawing and with my inking, just to show you the different things that you can do with it. You don't have to do something that's very graphic necessarily if you don't want to. It doesn't have to be really clean. It could be a little bit messy and get some interesting textures and marks in there as well. Now, this is an intaglio method, like some of the others I've shown you, which means we are going to score marks into this card. We're going to ink up our surface. The ink is going to cling into those lines on the burr at the edges. We're going to wipe off the excess ink from the surface and put it through an etching press to print. If you don't have an etching press, go back and have a look at our blog, because we have done some intaglio prints without a press as well. So you can do it at home without a press if you need to. Got my piece of mirror card here. I've cut it down to A7. Okay, so I've got my sketch on here. I used a scalpel to score in along the edge of this section. Use the point of the scalpel to lift it and peel it away, and that has revealed the cardboard inside. And that's quite a fluffy texture, so that's going to hold on to quite a bit of ink, so that's going to print nice and dark. The rest I've just scratched in with my 2mm etching needle here, which is my go-to tool. You can get ones with different size ends and different shapes as well, so you can experiment and see what works for you and your particular print. So I've got something quite loose. I've got quite a bit of hatching and cross-hatching here as well to hold on to more ink, so we can see what I get with that. So now it's time to ink up. The first thing I've done before I've got anything inky is soak my paper. I've got a tray with some pre-cut pieces of Snowden paper. I find Snowden is a really nice weight for intaglio printing because it can handle soaking without curling too much. So I've got some Aqua ink. I've gone for phthalo blue. It's probably not an obvious choice for this kind of landscape print, but it is one of my favourite colours. It prints so beautifully. You can see this one's been very well used in our studio. It's a soy-based ink, which means that it's easy to wash up with soap and water. It's not too stiff, so it's relatively easy to ink up a plate like this. We also have Calico Safe Wash etching inks, which work beautifully for this as well. They're perhaps a little bit stiffer. So I've got a little bit on my inking plate here. I'm just going to start by inking up using a wad of scrap fabric, a rag. I want to dab that all over my drawing. If you can, although it is quite a messy technique, it's good to keep as much ink as possible off your inking plate to avoid getting loads of ink everywhere and on the back of your plate. Next, I'm going to go in with some scrim in a twisting motion to remove excess ink and start working it into those lines. You can already see that section here that's peeled away is holding onto a lot of ink, whereas you're able to wipe it away from that shiny surface. So at this point I've removed most of the ink from the surface. It's quite hard to see on camera because it's so shiny, but I've still got quite a bit of ink on that shiny surface there. So now I can work to shine up any of these areas where I don't want there to be any ink at all. So some of these areas I want to print white, so I need to clean them up, but others I can leave kind of smudgy and messy. You can use the scrim and add a little bit of ink to some of these areas. Because the scrim because of the texture of the scrim, it makes strokes. You can go in and add extra texture and direction to your prints. If you're doing sort of a storm or an animal with fur, anything like that, you can really get in there and add some texture. So I've just got a rag on the end of my finger now, and I'm going to go in and start polishing up some of the areas where I don't want all that ink. You can also use cotton buds if you want to. I've got some paper sticked ones here, and just go in with more precision to clean. Okay, so here we have a fairly loosely inked block. You can keep going in and adding and taking away ink until you like the way it looks. If you do a print like this, each time you ink it's going to be slightly different, so you can adapt for the next one. So here we are with our etching press. I've got a registration sheet at the bottom which shows me where to put my plate and where to put my paper. Then my plate goes ink side up, and then my dampened paper which I've just blotted. So here we are with my final print. It's kind of loose and smudgy. You can see where I've dragged the ink with the cotton bud, where I've dabbed it away. Here I've cleaned up the sky so it's nice and bright. This is the section that was peeled away, so it's nice and dark, but I've also got some nice dark areas with the hatching and where I have applied the ink a little more thickly. So that is an example of a sketchy dry point print using the mirror card as my plate. All of the materials and equipment can be found on our website. The mirror card is new. You can find that on our website too, along with the inks and tools and presses and everything that you need. Happy printing!